All right, so we're going to talk about combining law of sines and cosines. So if we are combining law of sines and cosines, we're generally going to try and see if we can use law of sines first and then refer to law of cosines second if need be. But sometimes we'll have to use law of cosines before we can use law of sines, okay? The goal here is to try and solve triangles. So that means we're finding all the missing pieces, okay? So we're going to use the law of sines when we're given angle, angle, side, or angle, side, angle, okay? We also use it for side, side, angle. Remember, this is the ambiguous case because it's a bad word if you spell it backwards, okay? Then we use the law of cosines for side, angle, side, or if you're given side, 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 okay? So let's try examples. We're going to try all the examples together, and then when you do the practice later is when you'll try it on your own, okay? So here we have an angle, then a side. So we have angle, angle, side. That means we're going to use sines first, okay? And it may be that when you start with sines, you don't even have to use law of cosines. So we have sine of 31 across from 14 would equal sine of 36 across from angle C, making this little c. So then we have C sine of 31 equals 14 sine of 36. And the way I did this, remember, is just by cross multiplying, okay? So then we divide by sine of 31. And we get that C equals 16, excuse me. Sorry, I lost my place in my work, okay? All right, so C is the same thing as AB, so we're going to put 16 here, and it's in feet. All right, I'm going to use sine of 31 again over 14 equals, but this time I'm going to use the other angle. However, I don't know the other angle. So I need to do 180 minus my other two angles, and that gives me an angle of 113. So I have an angle of 113 here, so I can use sine of 113 on this side over, and it's going to be little b since it's across from capital B. So then we cross multiply. 31 equals 14 sine 113. We divide by sine of 31 on both sides. Then you should get that B equals 25. So that makes it 25 feet. And we already found that angle B was 113 degrees. Okay, example number 2. All right, so here we have a side, then we have an angle, then we have a side. So the angle here is between the two sides. So we have side, angle, side. So that means we're going to need to use cosines first. All right, now, in order to use law of cosines, we have to look for the other angle first. Excuse me, I always say this. Use the other side. So we are solving for r. It's r squared equals the two sides you're given. So 17 squared plus 28 squared minus 2 times your two sides times cosine of the angle across from the side you're looking for. So 87. All right, if you type all that in the calculator, you should get that r squared equals 1023.2. And if you square each side, square root each side, okay, so square root each side, then you should get that r equals 32. So that means that PQ is 32, and our unit here is kilometers. All right. Now, because you have that r equals 32, now you can use law of cosines. So I have sine of 87, which is across from 32, so I put that underneath, equals, and then let's say I'm looking for angle P. So I would do sine of P equals, over the side across from it, which is 28. If you cross multiply, you get 32 sine capital P equals 28 sine of 87. And then if you divide each side by 32, you get that sine P equals 0.8738. And then to separate sine from P, remember you have to do the inverse sine. So if you take the inverse sine of this, you should get that P is 60.9 degrees. So that would be 60.9 degrees. And then you have two angles, so you can find the other angle in a triangle. So you just take the others and subtract them. And that should leave you with 32.1. So that means, 32.1 degrees. All right, let's try example 3. So example 3 is a little different because we have to actually draw the triangle, okay? So let's draw the triangle and then we'll figure out which one we have to use first. So we have triangle DEF, where DE is 6, EF is 14, and DF is 18. So this is a side triangle, which means we need to use cosines, okay? Now, let's just pick E to be the angle we're looking for. So we're going to use the alternative form of the law of cosine. So we're looking for cosine of E, okay? That means that I take the two sides that are next to it, square both of them, so 6 squared plus 14 squared, and I subtract the side across from it, 18 squared. And then I put it over 2 times the two sides next to it, so 6 times 14. So then I get that cosine of E equals negative 0.5476. And if you do the inverse cosine of each side, you should get that E is 123.2 degrees. Okay, so then E is 123.2 degrees. All right, and then now that we have a pair of angle with side, we can use law of cosines. So we do sine of 123. I don't remember if I said law of sines or cosines, but we're going to use law of sines. So sine of 123 over 2, 123.2. I'm talking way too fast. Okay, and that's across from 18. All right, and then let's say we chose F to be the angle we are looking for. So we have sine of capital F, and that's across from 6. So we put that underneath. All right, so then we just cross multiply. 18 sine F equals 6 sine 123.2. Divide by 18. You get that sine F is 0.2789. And then if you do the inverse sine of each side, you should get that F is 16.2 degrees. So if this is 16.2 degrees, well then if you just subtract the two angles that you just found, then you should get that your last angle is 40.6. So angle D is 40.6. All right. Let's do the last one real quick because my time is running out. So we have triangle WXY. WX is 9, XY is 15, and angle W is 31. All right, so this is, I'll write it up here. This is side angle. Don't you dare write it the other way, okay? So that means that we have to use the law of sines. So we're going to have sine of 31 over the side across from it, which is 15. That does not look like a 3. Okay, equals sine of y, because we don't know what that angle is, over 9. So then we multiply, we cross multiply, so 15 sine y equals 9 sine 31. Divide by 15. You get that sine of capital Y should be 0.3090. And if you do the inverse sine, you get that y equals 18 degrees. So we have 18 degrees down here. Well, we know that 180 minus 18 minus 31 gives us a resulting angle of 131. So we have that our other angle is 131 degrees. Now, here's the thing. We have all three angles, but we have two sides. Okay, we're looking for the last side. So we need to use the law of cosines here. So we're looking for this guy. Whoops. So we're going to do x squared equals, remember, the two other sides that they gave us, so 9 squared plus 15 squared, minus 2 times those two sides they gave us, and then cosine of the angle across from it, which we said x was 131 degrees. If we simplify that, we get that x squared is 483.1, and if we square root each side, then we get that x is 22, so wy is 22, and it is in terms of meters.